I'm going to revisit a recipe from a few years ago, but we're going to spruce it up a bit. We're going to start by combining 1/3 cup of plain breadcrumbs, half a teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of sea salt, 1.5 teaspoon of onion powder, and 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder. Now we'll come and mix up the dries so everything is nice and combined. Add in 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce and an egg and whisk it all up. Add in 1 pound of Midamar Halal 93 7-ground beef. Mash that all up and make sure there are no large spots of seasoning left. When making any kind of baked meat recipe, I've heard that it's best to take a little piece of the meat and fry it in a pan to test for seasoning. So that's what we're going to do here. Once that's cooked all the way through, let it cool and give it a taste. I decided it needed a little more zhuzh, so I added about 2 teaspoons of onion powder and garlic powder, around 1 tablespoon more of Worcestershire sauce. Give another piece a little cook, give it a taste, and if you like it, it's ready to go. As you can tell, I think it tasted pretty good. Cover that and let the meat marinate in the fridge while we prep 8 ounces of mushrooms. Slice the stem off, then we'll cut the stem and the cap into slices. This will give us that nice mushroom look that you always see in pictures. Say it with me, it's onion dicing time! But this time we're making big old chunks. Place several cuts vertically, then rotate it and chop it to make some more large chunks. If you want smaller pieces, check out our pasta casserole recipe where we detail how to cut those nice and fine. You can find that by clicking the link on screen. Give your cutting board a quick cleaning, then we'll take our meat out of the fridge and form them into nice oval or egg-shaped patties. We want these patties to be about 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick. Once those are all about the same thickness and shape, we'll try this nifty little method that I learned recently where you press little dimples into each patty. This is supposed to help keep the patties from curling up while they cook, but we'll put that to the test right now. Fry these up in about 2 to 3 tablespoons of neutral flavored oil. I used peanut, but canola or vegetable is fine as well. Get those nice and brown, and once you see the cooked part of the meat creep up the side of the patties, give it a flip. This takes about 4 to 5 minutes. Let that side cook for a few minutes, then check it for doneness. And as you can see, we didn't get any curling on the patties, so I think those dimples really did do the job. Once it's got a nice crust, we'll call that done. Don't worry too much about getting it cooked all the way through. We cook these again in the sauce later until they hit 160 degrees. Once all those are cooked, cover them and set them aside while we begin the sauce. Lower the heat to medium-low, then add 1/4 cup of water to the same pan. Now we'll add in our mushrooms. Try to lay them out in a single layer as best as you can, then let those cook and stir occasionally. The mushrooms will let out a ton of water, but let that evaporate so we can get a nice golden color on our mushrooms. In total, this took us around 10 minutes or so. Once those are cooked, we'll remove those to a mixing bowl. Toss 4 tablespoons of butter in a pan and melt that down. Ladies and gentlemen, it's onion time. And also time. 2 tablespoons or so. Then we'll hit it with around 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Fry that up until the onion is softened. Add in 1 tablespoon of tomato paste and mix it up. We want the tomato paste to get some direct contact with the pan so it can bloom a little bit. Once that's fragrant and mixed throughout, we'll add in 2 tablespoons of flour. Gently mix that up and cook until the flour smell dissipates. Now, being that this is a halal recipe, we don't use red wine. However, a good alternative is to add equal amounts pomegranate juice and 1/2 teaspoon of vinegar. For our recipe, I used 1/3 cup of juice and 1/2 teaspoon of white vinegar. We'll cook that until it's a little jammy, then we'll add in 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce and cook it until it's absorbed. Now we'll add in 1.5 cups of halal beef stock in batches. We want to cook that until the liquid has been fully absorbed into our jammy mixture. Once that broth has thickened slightly, we'll toss in our mushies. Now we'll tenderly nuzzle our patties into their saucy little bed. Let those simmer until the thickest part of the meat reaches 160 degrees. And that's it! Serve it up with my grandma's mashed potato recipe from our cheesy meatloaf vid and some organic mixed vegetables from the link in the description, and you're ready for a delicious homemade meal. See you next week with another delicious halal recipe!